So I'm here today with Tom Tresser. He's got an amazing program to talk about. But first of all, hello, Tom.
Hello, Peter. How you doing over across the pond?
We're across the pond and we're out of our minds. In fact, we're talking about creativity today. But before we get to that, briefest of brief introductions from you, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I call myself a civic educator and public defender, and I've been blending creativity and civics and politics for about 40 years. I believe creativity equals the economy, equals democracy, equals all things good.
Yeah, and we've somehow found each other on the internet, as they say in modern parlance, and we have similar thoughts on things. I too cross business and politics, and anyway, that's not about me. So you've got an amazing program called the 100K program. Tell us a bit about that, please.
Well, as you may know, America's in a bit of a civic pickle. We're,
Really?
yeah, we're spiraling towards fascism and autocracy. And I'm trying to get the creative sector. I mean, what does that mean? People who live by their brains, perhaps, which would be you and probably everyone on this video or everyone you've ever talked to or worked with. And also people like nurses and librarians and scientists and educators and social workers. I want to get 100,000 of us to run for local office right now and to do so as champions of, oh, I don't know, science, the rule of law, equity, the public sector, and creativity, to be actually champions of those things.
I mean, I see this I see analytical thinking over there, and I see creative thinking over there. And to be effective human beings, we need to do both. We need to be able to do the analysis and the adding up and all that stuff. But to be really effective individuals, we need also to think of new vistas, to create visions, to engage people in unthinkable projects and uncertainty. And so, actually, yeah, there is an imbalance. I think we could agree, particularly on my side of the pond as well as yours towards the analysis of paralysis by analysis. And I think your program aims to redress that balance.
It does. I mean, there's something messy and unpredictable about creatives. I mean, you could look at someone like Michelangelo and say he has deep craft, as a master of a thing, but he's also a little crazy. He's also saying, don't tell me I can't do that because we've never done it before. So the idea is that if you have intractable and difficult to solve problems, which we have in this planet right now, you need people who are a little messy, but who have a craft and a way of approaching the world, and ask tough questions, and who do things, like take a pile of trash on the street that someone's going to throw it and turn it into a beautiful sculpture. Like, how did you do that? And those are the kinds of people and those are the kinds of skills and values I think we need in public life very desperately. We have a lot of the businessman and the guy who was a veteran and the guy that used to work for the guy. Those tend to be the typical profiles of someone who goes into elective office. And it just hasn't been placed in our correct collective paths. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to inspire and prepare.
So it's a great balancing act, and the balance is slightly wrong, I think, in the world. And we have these intractable, as you mentioned, problems or wicked problems, as I call them, such as climate, how to have genuine democracy, and things like that. They're all complex problems for which there are no magic bullet answers, but they need to be systematically worked on. I think creative people are very good at staying with an uncertain problem for longer than the average.
Yeah, holding multiple things in the brain that don't seem to be able to be in the brain, but also little problems like how to get a bus route out
Yeah.
into the suburbs, when there's two political jurisdictions and they're at war with each other or they're not working together. And creative people who make great teams, like a director bringing strangers together to do a play, or a choreographer bringing people together to do a dance, or a jazz ensemble where people have never met, but then they form a tight ensemble. All these things are a shorthand for making high performance teams very fast. And it also requires sort of, again, putting one and one together and getting seven. So if you have a very small problem, like just trying to get a bus line that hasn't been figured out, a creative legislator might be able to have the wisdom and the sort of the wackiness to bring the right people in the room and solve this, what would be a very small problem, but it would actually be quite meaningful for the constituents of that area. And I'm actually talking about something that really happened.
That's really important for people thinking of joining the program because they need to be able to deal from the mundane to the profane.
Yeah,
If you don't do the streets problem solving, which is just as difficult and more impactful for some people's lives, but it's the same skill set, isn't it? So,
it is. And
describe me now that we're making this video hoping that people will join your next programs and what have you. So, yeah, in a few words, tell me the sort of people you're really after who might join you.
well, our first cohort, this program is an 8 week trial program. It's 8 2-hour sessions. So this is aimed at the creative class and artists. This is our first round of going, but eventually we'll be getting to the librarians and the doctors and the scientists. But right now, our first cohort is about 23 people. This has been designed with the National Guild for Community Arts Education. So this is an association here in America with 400 members, and these members are theaters and other arts organizations embedded in community, usually in places of color and usually run by people of color. And they've got a sort of a social justice vibe to them. So that's the constituencies of the organization. My colleague is Dr. Quinice Floyd, a wonderful leader. And we're trying to do few things in this training. We're trying to convince our trainees that they have stuff, they have skill and values and their practices, which sometimes they can articulate, and sometimes they're not quite able to say, like, what do I do when I sit down to sketch? We're trying to say, lift those practices up, and we'll talk about how they are so needed in public life. We're going to do creative work, together through the classes. We're going to have them look at their own cities wherever they live with power maps and visualizations to help understand like what is going on in my city right now, and so on, and other things of that nature. And the whole thing is going to culminate with a series of actual performances that are going to be like campaign rallies. So imagine if you're one of our attendees, you're going to be like running for the mayor of your city, and you'll have a team, that's your fellow classmates, and you're going to create a campaign speech, a platform, and visuals, and a song. And all that will be delivered in the final session, like about 5 minutes each.
And
So call
hopefully a better dance routine than this.
it, yes, right, or that.
Yeah.
But yes, so we will task our creative colleagues to produce these little mini valedictory performances that are actually political messages or rallies, so is it a creative act or is it a civic act?
Mm.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. That's brilliant because I'm glad you've mentioned it isn't just for a certain type of creative because I interviewed some doctors years ago and they were talking about improvisation in surgery, that every body being different. You get into the body, you're doing some surgery, and there is no roadmap for the person you're operating on. So improvisation and creativity are very important, even in the sorts of arts that we think are all nailed down by procedures and there's a route map for them. So actually, surprisingly, and science is another area, of course, where
Well, of course. I mean, Einstein played the violin. And many people have written about the connections between mathematics and the arts and architecture and the hard sciences. And many scientists have reflected that their best inspirations came from dreams or from other artistic practices. Like, they were noodling, holding the problem in a sort of a Zen space, and then all of a sudden they got it.
completely underrated set of skills, in my humble opinion. But then I would say that, wouldn't I?
You would.
So, so, and then following the program, I think you're hoping some of these people would then go to be elected to office to, to
Well, that's the
change
whole point
power.
of it. Yes, right. We want our people to either run for office, which is a bit of an ask. It's not, it's a sacrifice. But again, leadership involves a little sacrifice. You have to give up something to get something, but also to help someone run. So someone may say, look, Tom, I'm just really not, that's not my cup of tea, as it were, but I'm quite a good organizer. I can bring people together like, like a director would be able to be that, or a choreographer. So my skills would be in helping Peter run.
Yeah.
And also, we want to talk about organizing for power also. So there are other things that people can do that would have a political consequence in their home, other than candidacy. But that's our main ask.
So there are a multitude of off ramps in terms of helping someone be, or perhaps producing their creative material, or a whole load of off ramps for
That's
people.
right. And you may say, look, I'm just too busy, but you know what? If you point me in the right direction to one of your people, I'll design their flyer for them.
Yeah, okay, that's
So I'll lend some creative help.
right. So how do we find you? Is the final question, Tom?
Well, you would go to 100kproject.us.
Perfect.
That's the best way to find us, and from there you can see what we're doing and how to reach me, and all that you some context. I mean, part of what we're trying to say to our creative colleagues is the situation in America is partly due to our inactivity from when we were attacked by the far right in the early 1990s when we had what we call culture wars. So look it up, people. It was very vicious. The far right beat the crap out of us. We tried. They were coming for the National Endowment for the Arts, which is our arts agency. So we rallied together and we saved that little organization, the National Endowment for the Arts. But we lost the war.
Yeah, I mean, we over here we have this in Brexit land, in I call it learned helplessness, that people go, well, what can we do? This is what you're offering them is something to do to
Something to
engage,
do.
re-engage them and reinvigorate them and
That's
turn
right.
into action. This is
That's
absolutely
right. Stand up for democracy and creativity because, as they often find, when fascism comes, the artists and the intellectuals and the professors are the first to go.
yes,
So, in our own self-interest, we've got to sort of plan or plot a path to power, which is a word that many nonprofit people don't like to use. We must have a path to power in order to govern for the common good. It's pretty
excellent.
simple.
Thank you. Before Chicago collapses, I'm going to say thank you for this, Tom. It's really good. Please go and find the 100K projects. All the links to everything will be in the video. Thank you so much.
Thank you.